Yazidi and Arab residents of Shingal, the ancestral Yazidi homeland, have marched together to protest what they describe as the federal Iraqi government's attempt to divide the communities. The central Iraqi authorities are attempting to formally divide Arab and Yazidi populated regions of Shingal, also known as Sinjar, by setting up barbed wire fences to divide the two ethnic communities. But members of both communities staged a protest on 13th of March in the village of Khalif in the Sinon district. The march took place with slogans such as "Shingal is free," "Long live our people's unity," and "Surrounding our villages with wire aims to destroy the people's unity." A statement was then read in front of a military checkpoint belonging to the Iraqi armed force by the Arab head of the local village council. He said, "As tribal leaders of the Arab and Yazidi tribes in Shingal, we condemn this action on behalf of the Iraqi government. They seek to divide Arabs from Yazidis in violation of the region's social and tribal traditions. But they have not succeeded. On the contrary, a strong brotherhood has been established between us. These wire fences will shake the peaceful life we have established and create economic difficulties." Yazidis and other locals have been working to heal rifts in the local community in response to the continued fallout from the 2014 ISIS genocide against the embattled Kurdish-speaking religious minority. During the genocide, thousands of Yazidi women were murdered, kidnapped and sold into slavery by primarily Arab ISIS fighters in an assault formally recognized as genocide by the United Nations, European Union and other international bodies. 8 years on, Arabs, Yazidis and other minorities live together in the region, which is militarily contested but locally administered by the Democratic Autonomous Administration of Shingal, a body which places an especial focus on coexistence and plurality. However, the federal Iraqi government asserts control over the region, leading to the present unrest. The protests dispersed peacefully with chants of "Long live a free and democratic Iraq." Kurdish activists took to the streets in London today to demand freedom for Öcalan. The activists partaking in the March of Haringey chanted slogans condemning Turkish fascism and praising the Kurdish struggle for freedom. Met with the interest of the people, the activists handed out brochures featuring the paradigm of the Kurdish leader. Speaking for the Kurdish youth movement in London, Kawa Çekdar vowed that their actions will continue until Öcalan attains his physical freedom. Following the march, the activists attended a memorial ceremony at the Kurdish Community Center in memory of Anna Campbell, a British internationalist YPG fighter who fell in Rojava on 15th of March 2018 during the course of the Turkish invasion of Afrin. Heavy snowfall has hit Shehba, meaning IDPs in the isolated region are suffering fresh humanitarian difficulties. The second snowfall in Shehba this winter hit the region on 13th of March, leaving IDP camp residents struggling to heat their tents. Shehba is home to tens of thousands of Kurdish IDPs who fled Turkey's 2018 invasion and occupation of Afrin, the majority Kurdish region isolated from the remainder of north and east Syria. Up to 200,000 civilians were displaced and hundreds killed in the assault on Afrin. Many of those displaced now live in the isolated Shehba region, where they also suffer under an embargo imposed by the Syrian government. This means that fuel, medicine and food often cannot enter the exclave, which remains under the political control of the Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria, but is separated from contiguous Nes by zone of Syrian regime control. As such, locals always face difficulties in heating the tents across the region's 5 major IDP camps, while many others continue to live in ad hoc settlements in ruined buildings without access to proper heating. A demonstration took place in Basel at the end of the Action Days for Women's Struggle Day, 8th of March. The Action Days for Women's Day, 8th of March in Basel concluded a Saturday with a demonstration under the motto, "Every day together against patriarchy." Hundreds of people gathered for the opening rally at Theaterplatz. Speeches addressed the effects of the corona pandemic on women and the Russia war of aggression in Ukraine. Uzun Aytaç gave a speech on behalf of the Ronahi Women's Council in which she referred to the Kurdish women's movement struggle for the grassroots democratic, gender-just, and ecological society. Activists from the Ronahi Women's Council collected signatures during the demonstration for the campaign to remove the PKK from the EU and US terror list. The Basel police blocked the demonstration several times and used tear gas. The demonstrators marched to Klarmatı despite these attacks. The city of Manbij celebrated the 5th anniversary of the establishment of its democratic civil administration on 13th of March, half a decade on from ISIS' defeat in the major Arab population center. The celebration, under the slogan, "This administration was established with our will," was held in the local Arts and Culture Hall. It was attended by representatives of the civil administration itself, plus the local military council, the STF, civil society organizations, the war wounded, and women's organizations. Deputy co-chair of the Autonomous Administration of Northern East Syria, Hamdan al-Habib, addressed the crowd saying, "We celebrate the establishment of this administration in a city which is a site of literature, culture, civilization, and multiculturalism." Manbij, in the far west of northern East Syria, was the first major Arab city to be liberated from ISIS in the regions in August 2016. The local political administration has also continued a long-standing spirit of multiculturalism and autonomy in the key local trading city, as well as seeking to establish new rights and freedoms for women and other members of society. As well as Arab and Kurdish performances, members of the local Turkish-speaking Turkmen minority performed their traditional dances, while a video was shown to illustrate the successes and advances made by the local administration. Manbij is an exemplary city for all of Syria, said Manbij Military Council spokesperson Sherwan Derwish. A great deal of progress has been made in the past 5 years. Six Turkish soldiers have been reported killed in 2021 operations in Bashur, or Iraqi Kurdistan, according to a statement by the press center of the People's Defense Forces, or HPG. The deaths on 27th of July 2021 came as a result of an operation by the all-female guerrilla YGA Star targeting a Turkish military convoy. In new released footage released by the HPG's press center, YGA Star fighters target a convoy traveling between Yekmaljer and Bani villages. Alongside the 6 members of the Turkish armed forces who lost their lives, 10 were reported injured, while a Kidbis armored vehicle was also destroyed in the strike. The HPG and YGA Star The PKK's military wing are currently facing an ongoing assault by the Turkish armed forces against their territory in Bashur. Turkish forces have been using artillery, fighter jets, and chemical weapons as part of what they call Operation Claw Tiger and Claw Lightning, but they are struggling to make a significant territorial gain. Civilians have been killed and injured by Turkish shelling and chemical weapons, according to independent monitors, including Christian peacemaker teams, Iraq. As a result of the attack, the road was closed while TAF units cleared it of debris. No injuries to HPG or YGA STAR members were reported. A dispute between two tribes in north and east Syria, one Kurdish and one Arab, has been solved by the local reconciliation committee. The dispute between the Bobilan and Gabaran tribes dated back 5 years, to when a member of the Bobilan tribe, Salari Idris Hassan, was killed in a traffic accident caused by the Gabaran tribe. Deaths like Mr. Hassan's can provoke blood feuds lasting for generations, but in this instance, then the autonomous administration was able to intervene on the basis of principles of restorative justice. Zeynep Kaitka, an advisor to the local canton assembly, addressed the crowd at the reconciliation ceremony. Nes's reconciliation committees were established to provide an alternative to both state-backed top-down forms of justice and to the violent blood feuds which plague tribal society in the region. The committees worked with local dignitaries and political representatives to bring both families to the negotiating table and encourage them to set aside the differences in the spirit of what they refer to as the Brotherhood of Peoples. Following the latest incident, tribal elders, the Internal Peace Assembly, and local dignitaries assembled as a tent set up by the Gabara tribe in the Salihiyya neighborhood of Hasaki, where a formal breakfast was served. The chair of the Reconciliation Committee, Rashad Khanim, also spoke to thank the councils, the Reconciliation Committee, members, and the tribes themselves. After sharing food together, members of the tribes embraced one another in a symbol that the feud was resolved.